Welcome to RCAM. I'm your host, Ryan, and thank you for tuning in today. So, today we are going to be talking about um, the problem of IVF and surrogacy and some of the unforeseen consequences of adopting um, these methods to conceive children. So we're going to talk about that, and that's pretty much going to be the bulk of the show. Is we're just going to spend a lot of time talking about that. Um, yeah, so if you do like this stream, go ahead and like, subscribe, follow, do all the things. That'll help me out a great deal, and I appreciate it. So I've explained this before, but I just want to kind of give a little bit of a recap on where I stand with this. So for a long time, I was very pro IVF. And I didn't really see that much of a problem with surrogacy, although I did think it was a little weird. I've had family members, people that I love and care about, get IVF, and because of that, they were able to have a child. And close friends of mine were able to have children because of it. Um, However, it wasn't until recently that I started to change my perspective on IVF. And actually, what did it for me was watching an interview between Dave Rubin and Jordan Peterson. And basically, Dave Rubin shares his story of how him and his quote unquote husband uh, were able to have their children. And, you know, instead of feeling, I don't know, more compelled by it, I was found myself horrified over kind of what the entire process they had to go through to conceive children. So they needed, two separate eggs from two separate mothers, and then put into two separate women because they were trying to have two boys. And it just seemed so unnatural to me for two gay men to have a fit, quote unquote family, and then one of them would have to pretend to act like a mother to try to simulate an authentic family unit, the mother and the father. So that was something that really rubbed me the wrong way and bothered me. And now we're seeing kind of the right and conservatives finally kind of galvanize against IVF, and I think we've even seen some bans for IVF. I believe it's in Alabama. Don't quote me on that. That's where I believe, and I think this is an issue that does need to be talked about, and I think we need to explore some of the potential pitfalls of IVF, and we're going to get into one of them today because it's a it's a doozy. All right. All right. So we're going to be talking about the fertility industry kind of as a whole. So let's get into this. So I had seen this story shared by Live Action, and this is the headline: "I've slept with my half siblings. This is the disturbing reality of the unregulated fertility industry." So, through DNA testing, Victoria Hill recently discovered that she has at least 22 half siblings. So, and one of those siblings turned out to be her ex-boyfriend. So she was involved with her ex-boyfriend. And it's just so sick. So how did this happen? Dr. Burton Caldwell, a fertility doctor in New Haven, Connecticut, used his own sperm to impregnate Victoria's mother instead of the agreed upon anonymous donor. So you have this creep that these women are going to receive sperm for their treatment, fertility treatments. And this creep decides that he wants to father all these children instead. So he starts inseminating them with his sperm, man. And as a result, this guy used his own sperm to impregnate countless women. So now the odds are, if this family is in the kind of same area and all these women are for the same area, that they're bound to potentially sleep with one of their half siblings, which is exactly what happened. So I actually want to read part of the story. So, the headline is I slept with my half sibling. We read that before. So Janine Pearson told this news site that she grew up as an only child and knew her parents had gone to a fertility doctor, but believed her father's sperm was used. Turns out it wasn't. After her father died, she became curious about his heritage and took a 23andMe DNA test to learn more. She clicked on the relatives tab and 19 half siblings popped up. To think 10 to 15 years down the road from now, how many of us will there be? So this isn't even accounting all of them. This is just so from what I understand, 23andMe pulls from kind of whoever submits DNA. So there's potentially dozens of people who have never submitted their DNA, so they don't actually have record on it. Since her initial discovery, there are now 22 half siblings who have been located. Her oldest sibling is 50 and her youngest is 35. One of her half sisters told her that she had learned that her half sibling's mother had all gone to the same fertility clinic in New Haven and each saw Dr. Burton Caldwell. When Pearson told her mother, she said, "This was the hardest conversation of my entire life." She added, to go to her doctor and have this kind of vulnerable, intimate procedure happen and leave not knowing what actually happened to her body. My mother never consented to having her doctor's child. Yeah, this is in a way like rape, honestly. in a way, it's just violating, and this too, I'm just going to use this, as a criticism for the entire industry, because she consented to getting IVF. She didn't consent to this guy's sperm being put into her, and the results are disturbing. So Angela Matty, a professor at Quinnipiac University, called this case and like it egregious and unethical, but she said there's no laws against this. That's crazy. That's crazy that there's actually no laws governing it. Hence why there needs to be further regulation on this. I vote, that we just ban the practice altogether. So you have a lot of liberals out here that likely support this. And they're also kind of the same liberals that will rail pro-lifers for not adopting kids. But these are the exact type of people, like if you cannot conceive a child of your own, you are the perfect candidate for adoption. I do think there's something beautiful, honestly. It may not seem like it, but beautiful about two people kind of having a void in their lives and being able to come together and meet that void. So you have, the mother who can't conceive, or maybe the father whose sperm is it just not viable, and then you have a child who doesn't have parents. They need a child. A child needs parents. Boom! It's a match made in heaven. So I do think the alternative is adoption, and I think that's probably one of the perfect scenarios for adopting a child is that you're in this situation where you can't conceive kids of your own, and instead of going out and adopting kids, you're going through this crazy process to try to get kids, and it's just as expensive. So why not just go through the adoption process? So. All right. Pearson has, in fact, learned two of her half-siblings unknowingly dated each other in the past and were intimate. My siblings had absolutely no idea, she said. They were consenting to a relationship with their sibling. I would throw up. If I ever found myself in this situation. And I just cannot imagine, and it's because of this one man planting his seed in all these women, and now these people have to kind of live with the idea that they were intimate with their half sibling. That sibling, Victoria Hill, has spoken out. She told CNN that she took 23andMe a few years ago and learned about her double-digit half sibling after learning that her biological father and her mother's fertility doctor learning that her biological father was her mother's fertility doctor, Caldwell. She learned that her high school boyfriend one she says she could have married was her boyfriend. Yeah, and this is kind of a risk. This is kind of the risk that you run if you if you go to these doctors. And maybe it's not necessarily like this is obviously a freak accident, but it's like, how many, you have men who go to these sperm banks. They donate sperm. How much sperm do they donate? And where is that going? You don't even have any idea. So it's like they have to get better at tracking it to make sure that it's not DNA that is potentially, your brothers or sisters. It's probably a good idea to keep a close track on this, and to make sure that so that this stuff never happens. But again, I say ban the industry altogether. It's not worth it. Two, we're creating lives and destroying them. That's what happens when an egg is fertilized. You have a potential life. And I just don't think we should be playing God in this way. And I do understand. So again, I want to come back to, there are people that I love and care about that have gone through IVF. And here's what I'm not saying. So if you're somebody that's watching this, you're on the fence about IVF, I am not saying that I wish your kid was never born. Your kid has been born. That's a reality. I'm glad they are born. I'm glad they exist. But to prevent further damage, we should just discontinue the practice altogether, and use it as a cautionary tale. Because again, this is the risk that's out there. And it's like, how. I remember in college, actually, a quick way to make money, and I was contemplating doing it. Thank God I didn't. Was to donate sperm. So they're just people that probably poor people, donating sperm, trying to make a buck, not knowing, that they're just, not knowing that this could be a potential consequence, or not even giving it a second thought. And two, these kids that are being donated, their sperm is being used. They don't know who their biological father is. So they might have some of these genetic quirks or things about them that they don't know, and they want to know, and they can never know because they will never be able to connect with their biological father, especially if their parents keep this from them and that they don't know the truth. And I imagine there has to be some kind of void there. A longing to kind of know more about your identity and who you are and where you ultimately came from. So it does create problems, and that's not the least of it. So I want to cover this next story. This was brought to us by Oil London on Twitter. All right, hold on. I got to read this headline first. 2 men dressed as women impregnate one of their own sisters to become their surrogate so they can have twins. This is so bizarre on just multiple levels. So you have 2 gay men. Now, one of them is impregnating, putting their sperm, now obviously probably via donation, into their sister, which it does seem like a little incestuous, little weird, so that they could have a baby. So let's hear it.
My sister Brianna is carrying both our twins.
Honestly, I've been raising a child for, 13 years
Well, if
now.
this is what you did, then I'm scared because I'm a brat. Hello, Brianna. Brianna being the carrier was the most important thing to us. I knew that I could trust her. Some people thought, this is sick. You guys are freaks. White trash from Arkansas. What you're doing is wrong to the core.
Yes. Yes, some people do. I think that. I think, yes. You're freaks, very obviously. You're pretending to be, want to use both of them, I think, are pretending to be women. And then they're going to bring this child into this poor child. My God. Like, nobody thinks about the children, too. Like, what kind of identity crisis is this kid going to have growing up with two dads. Oh, and then their mom, their actual mom, is their aunt. What? How do you explain that? Oh, so you're the result of a gay incestuous relationship? You can't even rack your mind around it. It's just so bizarre and so weird. And this is just further contributing to the destruction of the nuclear family.
And they're all adults making these comments. Shocking.
My sister Brianna.
Not really shocking. Not shocking at all, actually. Sane adults should be appalled by this. Completely and totally appalled by it. It's shocking that you even consider this as an option. You know, and there's just more problems with it, man. I read a story based on a woman had agreed to be a surrogate to two gay men in California, and you know, they discovered that maybe there's some sort of abnormality with the baby, and they forced her. They wanted her to abort. She said she wanted to keep the baby, but they said no, it's our DNA, which is funny actually now that you think about it. So they have a right to dictate what this woman does with the baby because it's their DNA. But then, like, if a man gets a woman pregnant, she could just abort that baby, no questions asked. And it's his DNA. How is that right? How does that make any sense? But no, they forced her to abort and murder her child, and she was devastated. Yeah, this is just another sick and twisted case of people playing God that should not be playing God. And these children are going to be the ones that suffer. They're going to be the ones that pay the price because two gay men want to play house instead of doing it the natural way. If you want a child, guess what? Bearing children is exclusive to a mother and a father. If you want the privilege of being a parent, the responsibility of being a parent, stop being gay. Choose to be in a heterosexual relationship, and then you can have a kid the natural way without resorting to this monstrosity to have a child. And as I said, the results are devastating. I'm going to show you another story, man. This broke my heart. This is also brought to us by Twitter. All right, so this is from Surrogacy Concerns. This is a story about a woman who sold her eggs. Her eggs calls a little girl and wishes her a happy birthday. The girl, who only sees her via video call, replies, "Watch the end." And this is heartbreaking. So this is a surrogate mom.
I wanted to wish you a happy birthday, and so does Malik. He says happy birthday also. I hope you had a wonderful 4th birthday. I really love looking at all your pictures on Instagram, and you're growing up to be such a beautiful and creative, sparkling light. And I know your daddies love you so much. So happy birthday, baby girl, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
I love you, Mommy.
What did you say? Okay, so you can say that to her. What do you want to say?
I love you, Mommy. And thank you.
I wanted to wish.
So from what I gather, she's saying, "I love you, Mommy," you know, and she's being raised by two daddies, and she's being deprived the authentic love and relationship she could have with a real woman, not a gay man acting like a woman, but a real woman. And again, this child is going to have an identity crisis the older they get. You know, they're just going to be messed up because this mom wanted to make a quick buck, which, by the way, you know, like, these women are essentially like renting their wombs. You know, it doesn't actually get more dehumanizing than renting your womb. But this is exactly what's happening. These women are renting their wombs, selling their bodies to give other people families. It's also extremely risky for the women involved. There are complications and problems that could happen, and they lose autonomy over their bodies. We just spoke briefly before about the parents that forced that one woman to abort her child. And it's just unreal that we allow this to happen. Too, you have other cases, like there's that guy, I think his name is Shane Dawson. I think him and his husband, quote unquote, they had a baby via surrogacy, and the alarming thing about that is that Shane Dawson has made inappropriate comments about children. So now you have these gay men, usually getting little boys, with this history, and I don't like that situation. There was one story about, I don't know if it was surrogacy or gay men that had adopted, but abusing their kids, and it's just like, why would we intentionally put children in this situation? I don't think one homosexual should adopt. I don't. I think it's destroying the family unit again, and it's causing confusion in the lives of the children that they're born into, because naturally you just don't have those roles coming from the mother and the father, and it's distorted and deranged and weird, and we need to see it come to an end. We just do. And I have concerns for these children. I'm afraid of what's going to happen to them, and the problems that they're going to have with their identity as they get older, and them not having the male or female influence that they need, that's pivotal to them to help them mature into the people that God created them to be. And then again, it's just more of an assault on the family unit. Basically trying to make it seem like the mother and the father are indispensable. And we're not. Every child needs their mother and their father. And I'm not saying that there aren't incredible single women out there or single fathers out there that do their very best to raise their children. There absolutely are, and you people are rock stars. But let's not pretend like there isn't a void in those kids' lives, and they need to find a way to supplement them getting that fatherly or motherly influence in their lives. Even me, like I grew up in, my family, me and my dad were estranged for a little bit. I was always looking to, when I started working, there were men that I worked with that I looked to them for guidance, because I needed that male guidance in my life. And I imagine it's no different for most children growing up. If you have two dads or two gay men raising you, you're gonna naturally gravitate to women because they understand each other in different ways. They just do. There are only things a father can teach his son, and a father also can model healthy masculinity in the same way. There are only things, women can teach their sons, and teach their daughters, and they can model healthy femininity. And when we try to swap these out, it's a recipe for disaster. So yeah, I'm definitely not with IVF. Definitely refining my view on that. And the more I learn about it, the more off-put I am by it. Same with surrogacy. I don't think these are net positives, and I do think that this is ultimately leading to kind of a Gattaca style way of bringing kids into the world, where we're choosing specific DNA. Too, even right now, the process of picking, sperm and eggs. You actually shop out of a catalog, and you learn everything about the person, and you try to pick the. It's like we're practicing eugenics in a way. And then you have, I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen, I'm going to see if I can pull this up real quick because it was eye-opening. There was this thing called Ectolife. I commented about it in a story before. And yeah, here we go. Perfect. I'll show you, but this is where we're ultimately heading.
Introducing Ectolife, the world's first artificial womb facility, powered entirely by renewable energy. Ectolife allows infertile couple to conceive a baby and become the true biological parents of their own offspring. It's a perfect solution for women who had their uterus surgically removed due to cancer or other complications.
And that's how they're going to sell stuff like this. They're going to sell it as a way, well, as a good thing, you know, oh, this will help women who don't have a uterus and can't do it on their own, and they don't have to endure, you know, the pains and trouble of pregnancy. They can grow their baby in an artificial womb. It'll be fantastic.
With Ectolife, premature births and C-sections will be a thing of the past. Ectolife is designed to help countries that are suffering from severe population decline, including Japan, Bulgaria, South Korea, and many others. The facility features 75 highly equipped labs. Each state-of-the-art lab can accommodate up to...
Isn't this just so dystopian? Like this actually looks like the scene from The Matrix where they're all in the pods and they're feeding off of, like, it couldn't look any more dystopian.
400 growth pods or artificial wombs. Every pod is designed to replicate the exact conditions that exist inside the mother's uterus. A single building can incubate up to 30,000 lab-grown babies per year.
Lab-grown babies. Lab-grown babies. That that shouldn't be a phrase that exists.
Ectolife allows your baby to develop in an infection-free environment. The pods are made of materials that prevent germs from sticking to their surfaces. Every growth pod features sensors that can monitor your baby's vital signs, including heartbeat, temperature, blood pressure, breathing.
Yeah, a metal womb is so much better than a woman's womb that was designed to carry these babies.
Rate and oxygen saturation. The artificial intelligence-based system also monitors the physical features of your baby and reports any potential genetic abnormalities.
And why do you think it's reporting those abnormalities? So they can kill it. So they can end this baby's life and abort it. Oh, we terminated your baby, but guess what? We can grow you a new one in 9 months. It'll be fine.
The pods are equipped with a screen that displays real-time data on the developmental progress of your baby. These data are sent directly to your phone so you can track your baby's health from the comfort of your zone. The app also provides you with a high-resolution live view of your baby's development. A special section in the app allows you to watch a time-lapse of your baby's growth and share it directly with your loved ones.
So dystopian. You know, and these, I think this video is actually longer. They're going out and about doing their thing, living their life while their baby grows in a pod in their living room. And it's just like, I just cannot believe that's actually a thing. I cannot believe that we are even conceptualizing this to be a reality. And again, I go back to, what about the kids? You know, how is that going to affect kids developing in the womb when they can't hear their mother's heartbeat? When they can't hear the natural sounds of the world and everything is being fed to them through machines? Just abominable, really gross and disgusting, and makes me black pills me just a little bit. The good news is, though, that I know who holds the world in the palm of their hands, and I can never be black pilled. And I pray that Jesus is coming soon, though. I really do, because he needs to come right now, especially before that monstrosity becomes a reality. One more story, kind of related, a little related, but weird. It's just a weird one. Weird in the sense that I just cannot wrap my brain around it, no matter how much I think about it. So, one of these conjoined twins got married to her dream man and has the internet talking. Yeah, it sure does. Abby and Brittany Hensel are conjoined twins, and you might have seen them on their TLC reality show, Abby and Brittany, back in 2012. I do remember seeing them, actually. I do remember it. I don't remember watching. I wouldn't watch the show, but I remember seeing like magazine covers with them. Abby and Brittany have been living private lives since the show aired. So private, in fact, that the news has just dropped that Abby was married in 2021. How does this how does that work? Like in every aspect, I don't understand it. Did he marry both of them? Is this both consensual? And two, even from a religious, this is, you ask me, Bible questions, I'm pretty good. I don't know. I don't know here. I don't know. Is it like is it like adultery if he's intimate with the other one that he didn't I don't get it. It's just so mind-boggling, the dynamics of their relationship. What happens if one of them dies? Do they have two hearts? Do they have one heart? I just, and then obviously you think of how this works in other ways. I don't get it. It's just a weird situation overall. Yeah, conjoined twins just got married. This video has me asking a lot of questions. Yeah, because it's just bizarre. It's just one of those things that is, honestly, if I were in this situation, I was conjoined with somebody else, yeah, you would end up fighting about it. Probably, because I'd be like, yeah, we're not getting married. It's not happening, bro. It's not happening. I'm not going to be into, I'm not going to be involved in your intimacy. It's just not happening. We'll go on adventures. We'll do something else. Marriage, not an option for us. We're just going to forego it. It is what it is. It's not going to work. That would probably be what I choose. But then if you have your person that's literally attached to you, then you have to fight with them. And now you're fighting with each other, trying to figure out what you're going to do and how you're going to navigate this. And then it can get ugly real quick. Because what if he controls what if each I'm sorry, guys. I just can't. I can't process this. I actually need to watch this show now, just to understand how they do and navigate things. Who has control over the body? And then if one has more control over the body than the other one, then you're pretty much at that person's mercy. If one person's like, oh, I feel like going for a walk, and the other person's like, no, I don't want to. Well, guess who has control of the arms? It's just so trippy. It's just trippy. And then you think of the spiritual aspects of it. They share one body. They have two souls. What if there's an evil one attached to you and you have to deal with that all day? It's literally, you don't have to worry about the angel and demons sitting on your shoulders. They're literally attached. They're part of your shoulder. Just insane. It just one of those things that no matter how much I try to think about it, I cannot compute. I think that's going to do it for me today. I'm going to be racking my brain around this. I hope that you guys are. I'd love to know your thoughts, both about the IVF and this situation happening with these conjoined twins. If you have any insight, I'd love to hear from you. And if you like this stream, please like, subscribe, follow me. I do all the things. I really appreciate it. We're growing in leaps and bounds. I'm 4 people away from hitting 100. So we are right there. So that's great news. And I'm growing on basically all platforms. Pretty sick. You know, like I hit, I think 28K on TikTok. I was at like 6,000 2 weeks ago, you know, and on Instagram I was at 5,000 or 4,000 2 weeks ago. I'm now at 14,000. So we're gaining momentum, and it's exciting. So thank you guys for your support. Thank you for engaging with my content. I appreciate you, and we'll be doing this Tuesday through Friday without fail, unless I'm sick and coughing up my lungs. We will be doing this. So thank you for joining us. Oh, and I also have like some things planned to try to improve the quality of my streams. You know, trying to add some more things to make it look a little bit more professional. Anyway, I gotta go. My daughter is screaming at my dog, and I gotta see what's going on. Anyway, have a blessed night, guys. Deuces.